Photos of undocumented immigrants in a Rio Grande Valley detention facility are drawing intense reactions, and concerns over the conditions inside the detention centers continue to grow.
CBS This Morning co-host Gayle King is along the U.S.-Mexico border outside of one of those facilities in McAllen, Texas, and she joins us now. Gayle, thank you so much for your reporting. You've spoken to people there who've crossed the border. What's the reaction to what they've been seeing, hearing, and what they've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks?
Well, we should say this, that most of them come from 3 different countries, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, and everybody tells a similar story of terror and desperation. They literally feared for their lives. I've seen 2 mothers that were concerned about their children being forced and asked to join gangs, and if they didn't do that, that they would be killed, the daughter would be raped, and the family would be killed. So they really are, in many cases, at the end of their rope. People talking about being abused. So when they come here, they are really seeking help, and they are extremely desperate, and that's really all they want is a better life for their children in most cases. So when they come here, many of them didn't know that they're facing the prospect of their children being separated from them. But despite that, Vlad, despite all of that, and a woman told the story of taking a bus, 20 buses, walking for 5 to 6 hours, crossing the river, finally getting here, and being separated from her children. And despite that, they would do it again because they believe they can have a better life in the United States of America. Think about that for a second.
Right. This is the best option. You spoke to a child. He described the conditions that he experienced. Let's play a little bit of that sound first.
Were you treated very well? Were you afraid there?
¿Te trataron bien? ¿Tenías miedo?
Sí, tenía mucho miedo ahí.
I was very scared.
What were you scared of?
Porque pensé que ya no.
I didn't think I'd see my mom again. They didn't tell me where we were going.
Were the conditions nice?
Lo levantan a uno aquí a las 12 de la noche.
At midnight, they'd wake you up. ¿Hacer qué? To do what?
To do what?
A contarlo, se lo levantan a uno.
To count everyone in the cells.
They'd wake you up at midnight to count everyone in the cell?
Y que se fuera a acostar uno.
They just counted you and you could go back to bed.
Go back to sleep.
Okay, not exactly entirely child-friendly. Certainly not summer camp.
No.
What else did he have to say about, what he's experienced so far?
And he was talking about what he got to eat, but, just for a second, when we saw Kirstjen Nielsen talk about the children are well cared for, that this is not a place for lawlessness, that everybody's okay. That's what makes it a little egregious and a little disturbing to hear her say that. I'm sure in many cases, the children don't feel that they're in danger per se, but they are terrified, guys, because they have no idea where their parents are, and they have no idea if or when they're going to see their parents again. Ronaldo, who was 15, told us that he was laying on a concrete floor with a silver tarp that you see that people normally use after a marathon. So the conditions aren't swanky. No one's expecting swanky conditions, but it really isn't a nice place. It is a warehouse. No matter how they try to say that it's not a cage, David Begnaud reported yesterday that they're put in cages. When you look at those resemble cages. They took great exception with his characterization of that, but they did not say that it was inaccurate.
And Gayle, during your reporting yesterday, I watched you do an interview with Manny Padilla, who represents the government. And when you told him that you had spoken to some people who told you about the conditions, he characterized it as misinformation. When you pushed back and you said, look, that's what they told me. We saw Kirstjen Nielsen yesterday at the White House press briefing essentially saying that she hadn't seen those pictures when those pictures, in fact, came from the government. So I wonder what you think when you're talking to some of these government officials and then you're talking to some of these individuals who are in detention, how they feel about the way that they're being treated and how the press is being characterized when you're doing your reporting.
It's not funny, but it reminds me of that old joke when a wife catches her husband cheating and he says, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? It's the type of thing that when I said to Chief Padilla, but this is what they told me. Listen, everybody says Chief Padilla is a really great guy who takes his job very seriously. But we just have 2 different points of view about what we're seeing and what we're hearing here. I do not think that these women and the children that I'm talking to are misleading me. They are talking about their own personal experiences, and he has another version of what he said, what he sees, and what he's hearing. But they're definitely, the people that we talked to, no one is saying what Chief Padilla was saying yesterday. You know, we talked to a lawyer who works with a lot of these families who come here who are trying to get citizenship in this country. And one of the things Chief Padilla told us yesterday, and he was just doing an interview right next door to us, and we said hi. We have a very friendly working relationship, if you will. One of the things Chief Padilla told us that in some cases, many cases, drug dealers and gang members use little children to come here as pawns. You know, they use the kids. And I was talking to the woman who released that audio tape. She said, yeah, right. These mothers who are risking their lives for their children, crossing the Rio Grande, who were swimming in the water, who were walking for hours, are now going to allow a drug dealer to take over their child and use it as a pawn. That just is not what's happening. And she said, and the lawyer we talked to who works with these cases said that comes from people who are trying to spin a story. Yes. So listen, all we can do is present the facts to you and let you judge for yourself who's telling the truth.
Yeah, it certainly seems like many, many people are literally running for their lives. Gayle,
yes,
Gayle,
that's the exact way to talk to explain it.
Because in fact they have nothing. They are in danger, and that is supposedly, Gayle, you said yesterday the Statue of Liberty is crying. I think a lot of people across America share that sentiment.
Yes, listen, and if you don't believe me, go and read the plaque again that's at the bottom of the Statue of Liberty. Go and read that plaque. I think that sums it up really very nicely.
I agree. Gayle King, thank you so much.